KPIX Eyewitness News at 5.
This is Super Bowl weekend, and it can be the most violent weekend of the year for couples. Robert Handa tells us a big increase in violence in the home is one of the most dangerous results of all the Super Bowl frenzy.
It's the ultimate game, and physical violence is all part of it. But sometimes the violence is not confined to the game itself. A number of private agencies that provide support for battery victims, including Men's Switchboard in San Francisco, say violence against women goes up during Super Bowl weekend, and it's no coincidence.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
Kelly is a resident at Santa Clara County's Project Watch, a long-term housing facility for battered women and their children. Kelly says her husband hit her, often in front of his friends, during Super Bowl parties.
They want their friends to realize, you know, I've got control over my woman, or she has to have everything set down and right, and this game's got to be perfect, and
when it's not?
Then all hell breaks loose.
It is a time that the men feel that they should have control. They want their team to do well. There's a lot of stress involved. They don't have the ability to handle that stress, and so rather than accepting responsibility for what's going on, they project it onto their significant others, their wives, girlfriends, children, and absolutely there's an increase in violence.
A men's support group in San Francisco, Man Alive, is trying to help males deal with the Super Bowl fever that gets out of hand.
Men are violent out of this weekend because we have learned to confuse our sense of identity with a role that we're supposed to play, a role of superiority. Men are supposed to be superior.
Of course, the other victims in this situation are children who have to watch their parents fight verbally and physically over what is still simply a game. As one person put it, it makes the whole weekend festivities seem not very super. In Santa Clara County, Robert Handa, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Domestic violence can be avoided this Sunday and any other day. And joining us now with some thoughts on this is Pete Giannini. Mr. Giannini is a former batterer himself and is now a facilitator at Man Alive. That is the group that counsels batterers in San Francisco. Mr. Giannini, thank you for joining us. You know, we were just hearing some of the reasons why watching football might trigger this kind of behavior. When you're working with support groups, what do you tell men to do?
Yeah, Kate, what we do is we work with the fact that we believe that, and the Super Bowl is a real ultimate in this, is that men are taught to be superior to women, and that it's an issue of supremacy, and that the violence that occurs in the Super Bowl is a real reinforcement of that superiority. That's what it's all about. It's about this issue of being in charge, of being a competitive person.
So what is a woman to do in a situation like that? What would you advise?
Well, as far as a woman goes, really the best thing for a woman that she can do is to make sure that if she feels in any way, shape, or form endangered, or her children are endangered, that she needs to contact the appropriate people, which would be a women's organization. In San Rafael, it would be Marine Abused Women's Service. And any of the shelters, they would be able to be the appropriate people to give them advice and suggestions on how to make themselves safe. Their safety is paramount.
And what would you tell men watching right now who might have these tendencies or might feel angry watching the sport?
Okay, one of the things that we work with is to really create an awareness, to encourage the men to recognize that there's a real difference between the sport itself and the violence and the aggression and what they're really going to have in their household, in their families, what their desires are and what their goals are significantly different. And to get real clear about those differences and to maintain that awareness.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, giving us your thoughts, Mr. Giannini. And as you can see, there's really no reason why anyone should have to suffer in silence. There are places that you can turn to for help, and we do have some numbers for you right now. These are 24-hour hotlines, so you can call them at any time. If you are angry or scared, help is a phone call away. Here are just two of the places in the Bay Area you can call. For women, 415-864-4722. And for men, the number is 415-924-1070.
Bill Clinton is on the defense again. The Democratic presidential candidate and his wife answering new charges that Clinton had an extramarital affair. The tabloid The Star paid Gennifer Flowers for her story. She says she had a 12-year affair with Clinton and that he told her to deny it. Clinton and his wife of 16 years admit they've had problems, but say that's not true.
The charges are false. Today she took money to publish a story that she hired a lawyer to say was absolutely defamatory over a year ago. And it's sad.
What I am proudest about with my marriage is that through every difficulty, every challenge that we've confronted together, we have not cut and run. We have stood with each other, we've worked through them, and we've come out stronger than we went into it.
Yeah.
The Clinton campaign released a letter today from an attorney for Flowers in which she denied having an affair with Clinton. Bill and Hillary Clinton will talk about these allegations and their marriage in an exclusive interview on 60 Minutes this Sunday, right after the Super Bowl.
The war of words with Japan is apparently hitting home among some car owners. A poll in Detroit found that 40% of foreign car owners feel a little guilty over not buying American. But is that true here in the Bay Area? We get the answer from transportation reporter Jeffrey Schaub.
We didn't find much guilt on the streets of San Francisco today. Nice Handa. Do you feel guilty driving a foreign car?
No, I don't. I don't. The car drives real well. It does not break down. It's serviced properly. I bought it used.
How about a German car?
Unfortunately, no, not at all. Mercedes is a great car, and I'm very happy with it. And I'd probably get a Lexus if I didn't have a Mercedes.
What with all the Japan bashing we've heard this week, some people say they wish they could buy American, but think the foreign models are just that much better. Others, like customers at this near-empty San Francisco Auto Center, cited prior experience.
And I bought an American car and was very unhappy with it once I let guilt kind of make me do that. And the car fell apart.
Actually, I saw a Chrysler the other day. I thought it was very nice. Chrysler's American. I mean, I would consider buying, yeah. But
while we wave the flag in dealer showrooms, she, like others, are intrigued more with the Japanese cars. Which leads us to this question. Are American cars really American? Sometimes it's difficult to know what to feel guilty about. For instance, this is an American Chrysler, but it's made in Mexico with a Mitsubishi engine. This is an Isuzu Rodeo that's made in Indiana with a General Motors engine. Japanese, American. No, Japanese and American.
You know, the Chevrolet Geo, they may call it the heartbeat of America, but they're all made in Japan or by Toyota in Fremont. So, once again, your question, what's American? How do you tell? I don't know.
So the question may be, how do you apportion your guilt for not driving an American car that may be as foreign as the foreign car you're driving? Jeffrey Schaub, Channel 5, Eyewitness News.
No matter what kind of car you drive, Jeffrey says for those who can afford it, this may be one of the best times to buy a new car. Slow sales have many car dealers starved for customers.
The top man at CBS wants to become the new owner of Macy's. CBS Chairman Lawrence Tisch has reportedly offered to buy the store chain. The Macy's company operates 250 stores around the country, but the recession has put Macy's billions of dollars in debt. Lawrence Tisch already owns a number of shares in the company. Sources say he's ready to spend $1 billion of his own dollars to save the store and become the controlling partner. Another sign of the tough economic times here in the area, the Rusty Scupper restaurant in Oakland has gone out of business for good. The Scupper has been a landmark on the Oakland waterfront for nearly 20 years. It closed on Wednesday without any warning. The reason cited, declining business triggered by the recession. The restaurant closure puts about 60 people out of work.
Not only are people out of work, but thousands are homeless in the Bay Area, and this freezing cold weather is making life even tougher for people who live on the streets. This is how it looked early this morning, homeless people shivering on the streets. And tonight, all the shelters are already full. No word on when more will open. Well, the cold has also coated some roads in the Bay Area with an invisible. It's known as black ice, and Tomas Roman is up in the Oakland Hills to tell us about it. Tomas, we don't see this very often out here.
No, we don't see it very often because it doesn't usually get this cold. And let me tell you, Grizzly Peak Road and Grizzly Peak is freezing tonight. We're up at about 1,754 feet above sea level, and what you can see behind me on the hillside is ice and snow. Now, there was so much of this up here, and the temperatures dipped down so far that also behind me, you can see right by this, this little sign here, that's a fallen tree. Ice got so heavy on some of these trees that they actually brought the trees down. Now it gets cold, it gets moist up here, and what happens is the road surface starts to get coated with moisture, freezes, and becomes black ice.
Black ice could just look like a patch of water on asphalt like this seems to be, or it can just be plain invisible. Today, workers put sand on the black ice up here on Grizzly Peak to try and prevent motorists from skidding and possibly losing control of their cars. A definition of black ice, for those who don't know, is a thin layer of water that's frozen to the point of invisibility on asphalt or concrete road surfaces.
Now, this area is really dangerous tonight. If it's as cold as it is right now, at this hour, it's going to freeze like crazy tonight. Now, all these roads up here at Grizzly Peak are coated with moisture. I'm sure it's all going to turn into black ice tonight. And while we've been here doing the live shot, cars have been speeding by here. Police aren't safe from this either. We've covered stories where Highway Patrol have actually had accidents on black ice. So the only thing they say is drive slowly. Be careful. Reporting live in Oakland, I'm Tomas Vermont.
All right, thank you for the warning.
Police say a blinding snowstorm probably caused the bus crash that killed 2 Notre Dame students overnight. The university's swim team was returning to Indiana from a competition when the accident happened. The students killed were both 19-year-old women. Because of the accident, Notre Dame has canceled all athletic events this weekend. The last time the university did that was after the assassination of President Kennedy.
A former UC Berkeley student is being held on $5 million bail tonight after being caught with 2 handguns and what looked like a hit list. 21-year-old Saeed Ali Wajihuddin was arraigned in Berkeley today. Police arrested him Sunday night after he got into an argument at an international house, a campus residence hall that he was expelled from last spring. A search of his car turned up 2 guns, ammunition, and a list of 8 students and UC employees. Wajihuddin is now undergoing psychiatric evaluation at Highland Hospital in Oakland. 1 man was killed and another wounded during a shooting spree at the General Dynamics plant in San Diego this afternoon. Police say a man they think was a laid-off worker at the plant came in for a union meeting and just started to fire. The suspect surrendered to police about 20 minutes after the shootings. About 4,000 people work at the General Dynamics plant.
Australia's Olympic basketball team will not boycott games with the United States after all. Yesterday, several Australian players said they'd forfeit games against the U.S. if Magic Johnson was playing for the Americans. Johnson retired from the L.A. Lakers last November after testing positive for the AIDS virus. Today, the Australian Olympic Committee said a boycott was out of the question. Australia's foreign minister also weighed in, calling the players' statements, and I'm quoting, half-baked and wrong-headed. Kate?
1 out of every 4 Americans eats at a fast food restaurant every day. Well, is there any way this food can be good for you? Maybe so. Dr. Nancy Snyderman is on call tonight with the answers.
It's quiz time, Kate.
I thought so.
And here's your quiz.
Okay.
I have a chunky chicken salad from Burger King and a taco salad from Taco Bell. I want you to tell me which one of these is better for you.
I have a feeling it's this one because it doesn't have all the good tasting stuff on it.
And let me tell you by how much. This has 4 grams of fat, this chunky chicken salad. 4 grams compared to 61 grams of fat.
Just a little bit? 61
grams, almost pure fat. And that's the problem when you go out, because we don't always comparison shop before we eat.
50 million times a day, Americans belly up to the fast food counter. And a lot of them are looking for healthy choices.
I don't eat the red meat because that's just, it's a festival of saturated fats.
Everybody knows you're not supposed to eat fat, so skip the French fries and eat broiled chicken.
The author of a new book says you can find it all at nearly every fast food restaurant.
In the past 5 years ago, some of the companies have gotten some religion and are offering at least some decent foods, a few choices, and have improved other foods.
The problem is telling high fat from low. This meal from Burger King is a carbon copy of this meal from McDonald's. Or is it? I could tell you how much more fat this one has, or...
This is a Burger King double Whopper with cheese, medium order of fries, and a shake. This has about 21 teaspoons of fat from that one meal.
That's more fat than anyone should eat in a whole day. That's what the black lines indicate, for men and women. The McDonald's meal is much lower in fat because this burger is a McLean Deluxe.
It's half as much fat. It's about 9 teaspoons of fat in that one meal.
How about a salad? They're all low in fat, right? Compare this Burger King chicken salad to a Taco Bell taco salad. This is how little fat the chicken salad has. But the taco salad?
It can have as much fat as that double cheeseburger with fries and a shake.
Skip the fried shell and cut the fat in half. The book is filled with detailed information about every chain, but it doesn't make a dent with everyone.
I still like junk.
Yeah, I live by the motto, fat is flavor, grease is good, and that's sort of what you expect with fast food.
But it doesn't have to be what you expect. This is the book, The Fast Food Guide, and it is chock full of all kinds of good stuff. And it was very enlightening, wasn't it, to see that so graphically
It's disgusting to see it.
You'd never drink that, which is amazing that you eat it that way.
You don't realize it's going into your system. Does Dr. Jacobson say that one food chain is better than another?
He doesn't indict one any more than the other, but he does say that McDonald's has really taken the lead. The McLean burger was, in fact, I think the really fast food that really jumped out ahead of everything else.
Shouldn't he just cut them all out then?
Well, yeah, for purists, but face it, none of us are all that good. So can you eat out in fast food places? Sure. Just use common sense and go with a low-fat guide. That's the best way. And then maybe cut it down to once a week and make it a treat.
All right. Thanks, Nancy.
You bet, Kate.
Well, if you want to know more about the fat and all kinds of foods, and not just fast foods, you can join Dr. Nancy Snyderman on the Hunt for Hidden Fat. It's a half-hour special that's going to air this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. She's going to give you the tips on how to shop, cook, and eat out the low-fat way. And that's Sunday night at 7:30 after the Super Bowl.
One couple in San Francisco says their key to health and long life can be summed up with one four-letter word. That's right, love. Sydney and Ruth Amber aren't just married, they are both celebrating birthdays on Sunday, too. He'll be 106, she'll be 97. The Ambers first met when Ruth was just 18, but at that point, Sydney says, she was a bit plump for his taste.
She was good looking, but there was too much fat on her.
Now I weigh 90 pounds.
And you're happily married?
Very happy.
Very much so.
Sydney and Ruth met again 30 years ago, and it was love at second sight. Now they're living happily ever after at a senior home here in San Francisco.
Aren't they lovely? And they're lucky. They're very lucky.
Indeed they are.
Brian Sussman joins us next to tell us if it's going to rain this weekend, and we're also going to tell you about the flap over marble floors in congressional elevators.
Coming up a bit later tonight on Eyewitness News at 6, the latest turn in the trade war, a Bay Area company that's offering its employees money to buy American cars. Also, the historic Bay Area Opera House. It's getting help from a famous star who started there. Those stories and more at 6. Eyewitness News at 5 continues in a moment.
President Bush is vowing to spend the money it takes to get to Mars. He made that promise in a speech to the Young Astronauts Council today and proposed an 11% increase in funding for space exploration.
A few weeks from now, I will formally direct the establishment of a new National Space Exploration Office, led by NASA and including scientific talent from our defense and energy departments and other agencies as well. Space exploration should be and will be a national effort.
The president then introduced some budding astronauts to the crew of the Space Shuttle Discovery. One astronaut said the best part about zero gravity is that you can put your pants on both legs at a time.
Well, it's what's underneath the feet of our congressman that has a lot of people upset tonight. More specifically, it's the new elevator floors in the House of Representatives. They're marble, and they cost about $20,000 to install. Speaker of the House Tom Foley reportedly ordered the new floors without consulting anybody, and according to the critics, that's not a very good move at a time when taxpayers are being stretched to the limit. And we're going to stretch way down there to the Weather Center and check in with Brian Sussman. Suss, the fog is moving in on us. It looks like we're inside a gigantic pearl.
Except for one major microclimate in the Bay Area, Dave, the coast. The coast has not seen any fog for the last several days. What they have seen are sunny skies and tremendous winds, 24 hours a day. The winds have been blowing up to 30, 40 miles per hour in some cases. And for those of you who live coastside and you want to know why this is happening, if you get a chance, tune in tonight at 6 and I'll tell you why. Very interesting. Now, because of those high winds, there were some record high temperatures today. Santa Cruz today, 71 degrees. Down in Los Angeles, 85. Is this California we're talking about here, friends? 72 up in Eureka. Anyway, more on that tonight at 6. Here you go, friends. First peek at the old satellite picture. Yeah, we have a frontal system that's moving into the area. We're going to see this first bunch of energy head mainly to the north, spread some light showers into the Bay Area for later on tonight and into tomorrow. And then the second batch of energy will also stay to the north. So not a major storm on hand, but what we will end up seeing are some light showers for the Bay Area late tonight, early tomorrow, with the best chance for significant rain as you get further north
from the bay, so we're on the southern end of this one. That means some light snow in the Sierra, too. We'll have more for you tonight at 6 o'clock. We'll see you then.
Thanks, Brian. Good news. And when we come back, Jan Yanahiro talks to Audrey Hepburn. And then at 5:30, a report on the new drug that stops the voices that are echoing in the minds of schizophrenics. That story on the CBS Evening News.
They've spent 4 long years hoping for a new album. Tonight, Bruce Springsteen fans are finally about to get a payoff that was worth the wait. The boss is about to release not 1, but 2 new albums. One will be called Human Touch. The other is titled Lucky Town. They'll hit the record stores by early April. The other exciting news, if you're a fan, Bruce is planning a tour to promote both albums.
Superstar Audrey Hepburn stopped in the Bay Area today as part of her constant touring. Hepburn was in San Francisco fulfilling her role as Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF. Jan Yanahiro caught up with Ms. Hepburn during her visit, and I've always been a fan since Funny Face. And what's she like?
I'm a #1 fan, too. And Kate, just as you'd expect, she was beautiful, elegant, and gracious. Audrey Hepburn was here to be honored for her work with UNICEF, an organization that has won her heart away from Hollywood.
She was the irrepressible Eliza Doolittle in the film classic My Fair Lady.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
She was a beautiful princess in Roman Holiday. It was her first starring part, a part that presented her with an Oscar.
I'm so glad that you could come.
But for the last 4 years, the starring role that Hepburn seems to love is that of Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund.
1,200 people have packed the grand ballroom here at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. You know, Hepburn hasn't made a movie in years, yet her ability to draw an audience is as strong as ever.
Children are born loving. It is we that teach them how to hate. And until we can do away with prejudice, intolerance, and hatred, the world will not be a better place.
Born in Belgium, she suffered severe malnutrition as a child in Nazi-occupied Holland. It's part of her passion to help children.
They've been dying from preventable diseases, including measles and tuberculosis. They've been dying in wars, caught in the crossfire of those who should have been protecting them.
Twice divorced, Hepburn has been living with actor Robert Wolders for the last 10 years. They make their home in Switzerland.
I think she's just too darn skinny. I need to feed her. I do think of her like a princess, and I think I'll get breakfast at Tiffany's and watch it again.
To think that she's in her 60s, I heard she hasn't had any plastic surgery. But if she has, I'd like to know who her doctor is.
And of course, everyone wants to know, will she make more films?
Well, as I said just now, there's never been so much hope. But why not?
Ms. Hepburn does get paid for her work with UNICEF. Her salary, $1 a year.
Well, she left a big impression on you,
Definitely.
didn't she?
She's so elegant.
All right. Thanks very much, Jan. And that is it for this edition of Eyewitness News. I'm Kate Kelly.
And I'm Dave McElhatton. Thanks for being with us. And stay where you are. The CBS Evening News is next. Among tonight's top stories, the new plan to overhaul the education system in America.